The Parliament passes a new constitutional amendment that removes the word socialist from the preamble. Based on the principle established in Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala, the basic structure doctrine case, what is the most probable legal status of this amendment? So what happens? The Parliament passes a new constitutional amendment that removes the word socialist from the preamble. So Parliament made some amendment, it touched the preamble, it removed the word socialism, which is a basic structure of the constitution. It involves this particular term socialism. It is a basic structure of the constitution. We know that. Based on the principle established in Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala, which is discussed in the passage, what is the most probable legal status of this amendment? So we can look back into the passage. This provision was fundamentally overturned in Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala. In this historic judgment, the 13th judge bench established that the preamble is indeed a part of the constitution, and while it can be amended, the preamble can be amended, yes, its basic structure remains unalterable. Can the preamble be amended? Yes. But can the basic structure be altered or changed, or it can be amended? No. So the basic structure part cannot be amended. And the question here is that the Parliament itself made an amendment, but it changed or removed the word socialism from the preamble. So is amendment of the preamble possible? Yes. But the word socialism, can it be removed? Will it change the basic structure or of the constitution? Yes, right? So based on the principle established in Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala, what is the most probable legal status of this amendment? Let's look into the options. Option A, the amendment is valid because the Parliament has the power to amend the preamble. Amendment is valid because the Parliament has the power to amend the preamble. It is also stated in the passage as given in Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala. The judiciary agreed that the Parliament has power to amend the preamble, but is the amendment valid in this case? No, because why? It removed the word socialism, which is a basic structure of the constitution. We look into option B. The amendment is invalid, that is correct, because the word socialist is part of the preamble's basic structure. That would be the right answer as of now. We can look into options C and D as well. The amendment is valid because the preamble is not an integral part of the constitution. Is that so? We should look into the question is, they removed the word socialism from the preamble, and based on the principle established in Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala, we have to answer this question. The amendment is valid because the preamble is an integral part of the constitution. It is clearly written in the passage that preamble is indeed a part of the constitution. So option C would be not a right answer. It is an integral part of the constitution. It can be amended, but it is an integral part of the constitution. And option D, the amendment is invalid because the preamble can only be amended with the consent of the states. That is not what the Keshavananda Bharati case puts forward. So option B would be the right answer, as to socialist concept is a basic structure of the Indian constitution. It is given in the preamble. Preamble also is a part of the constitution. So we can amend the constitution. The Parliament can amend the constitution, but somehow it cannot change the basic structure of the constitution. So basic structure doctrine is very important for us to study. It is mentioned in Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala. And the thing is that preamble is part of the constitution. Constitution along with the preamble can be amended, but the basic structure, that is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, these basic structure concepts which are enshrined in the preamble cannot be changed. So answer to question 2 would be that the amendment is invalid because the word socialist is part of the preamble's basic structure. Now we move on to the third question. The preamble is considered a key to understanding the intent of the constitution framers. This implies that it serves as a tool for what? The options are executive action, legislative debate, judicial interpretation, and public opinion. When we look back to the passage, it is clearly written in the passage that the preamble acts as a guiding principle for the judiciary and serves as a vital tool for understanding the intent of the constitution framers. So the question is directly asked from the passage. It asks whether the preamble is considered as the key to understanding the intent of the constitution framers. This implies what? It is a tool for executive action? No. Legislative debate, judicial interpretation, public opinion. So clearly in the passage it is written that it is a tool for judicial interpretation. So that particular question can be answered directly from the passage itself. There is no room for ambiguity. Option C would be the correct answer, judicial interpretation. Now moving on to the fourth question. The ideals of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity are mentioned in the preamble of the Indian Constitution. These ideals were inspired by which significant historical event? Options would be American Civil War, the Russian Revolution, the French Revolution, and the Indian Independence Movement. So we know that the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity, which is not given in the passage, this particular information has to be known by you with proper other reading. So the thing is that we know these particular ideologies were not mentioned in the Indian independence movement. And we're looking into the other options. The American Civil War. The American Civil War happened because there were differences of opinion in abolishing the slavery concept in America. So the North and South, they divided into two, and the other part, which was against the abolition of slavery, they went into the court and they had a dispute, and which ended in the American Civil War, which the unitary forces of the America itself won due to their provisions and resources and forces. So that particular civil war was meant for, or the key concept was revolving around the abolition of slavery. In the Russian Revolution, the Tsars, the monarchs, were overthrown by the socialist government, which ultimately resulted in a communist socialist government called the USSR, or the Soviet Union. And then there is the French Revolution. So the concept of equality, liberty, and fraternity, that these concepts, these were the ideals put forward by the French Revolution, which happened in 1789. So you should know these concepts in general to answer this particular question. These particular terms were inspired by the French Revolution, which is also inscribed in their constitution also. So we borrowed these particular ideals from the French Revolution concept: liberty, equality, and fraternity. So apt option would be option C. And we move on to the next question. Which phrase from the preamble of the Indian Constitution reveals the ultimate source of the Constitution authority? Option A, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So these options signify, this first option signify, these terms are the basic structure of the Indian Constitution, which is added in the preamble. And the second option, justice, liberty, equality, is also components of the preamble. But does that reveal the ultimate source of the Constitution authority? What does the question intend to ask? Who made the Constitution, or who is the source of the Constitution? Who created the Constitution is what the question intends to ask to us. Option C is we the people of India. Option D, in our Constituent Assembly. So the options that are given are different lines taken from the preamble. So we should know that the Constitution begins with the line we the people of India. What the Constitution is actually is that the Constitution was given by the people of India to themselves as an acting force or acting guide. So the answer would be, who is the ultimate source of the Constitution's authority? That would be we the people of India. Option C. So for a much better answering capacity, while studying Constitution, you should look into the general principles written in the preamble so that you can answer these types of questions. This is not directly given in the passage given, but somehow we will be able to answer by ruling out the other options. Sovereign, secular, socialist, democratic republic option is a basic structure of the Constitution, but it does not reveal the ultimate source of the Constitution. Justice, liberty, equality are also just another set of ideals. And in our Constituent Assembly is just a body which formulated the Constitution. So we can rule out other options and we can click on the correct option. Option C, we the people of India. Option C is the right answer. So in this passage, we talked about the preamble and what is the basic structure of the preamble and what can be amended. Yes, preamble can be amended. And while going through the questions have been asked from other aspects of the Indian Constitution also, from which all parts of the world we have borrowed ideas should be noted by you, and who is the ultimate source of the Constitution. Such all questions were discussed in this passage. Then we will move on to the next passage.